Hello and welcome to our wheel series. I have decided to put together a series of sessions looking at the yoga wheel, and this is really in response to you guys because we had a couple of workshops which some of you might have attended, and it's a really great way for opening out your back, your shoulders, and it's a lovely yoga tool that you may or may not have worked with. But I thought it'd be good to give you some extra sessions that you can work on in your own time, just seeing if you can explore a little bit more the benefits of the wheel. Okay, so if you have your wheel, we're just going to do some gentle opening out for the beginning of this session. So bring the wheel to the base of your spine with your feet nice and flat on the mat. I recommend you come to the top of the mat because you want plenty of space behind you. Now we're going to start by sitting nice and tall, so really root down in your sit bones and lift that crown of the head. And as you do so, see if you could bring the base of the wheel, or on the side of the wheel, really into the spine so you can feel that connection. I'm taking my thumbs to the wheel, so I've got them hooked on the inside of the wheel, just to keep it stable so it's not going to shoot behind me. So lift the crown of your head, and then we're gently just going to lean back against the wheel. So it might move a little bit, and that's fine, just as if you're leaning against a wall or the sofa or anything. Just lean against it. So you can start to feel your body weight going back, and you might feel like your upper body, your shoulders are wrapping around the wheel a little. So depending on the shape of your body, these wheel exercises are going to feel a little bit different. So we're keeping the chin tucked just for now, just a gentle back opener. You can take your arms away, your hands away, just let them come out to the sides. That's a nice way to open out the shoulders. Just taking some full breaths here. Inhaling through the nose, just nice and gently. So I did have some comments back about the size of wheels. Now they do vary. There are a couple you can get on the market. I'll double check actually the size of this wheel, but it's maybe that for some, if you're particularly small framed, that the wheel is a bit too big for you and you feel like you just can't wrap your body around it. That's absolutely fine. Sometimes it suits others better. So we're just going to take ourselves forwards now, so keeping the thumbs back on the wheel, drawing the body forwards and crossing the legs. You can cross your legs any way you like. Come to Sukhasana. Once again, lifting the body nice and tall. And we'll do the same thing. So this time as we lean back, a slightly different sensation in the hips because we're really feeling like those hips are drawing down. The pelvis is rooted down because we have our legs crossed, sending the knees down towards the mat. So by all means, hold on to the wheel. Perhaps you'd like to take the hands out to the side with the palms facing up. Or maybe you want to go a little bit further now. Taking a circle with the arms, interlacing the fingers, popping them behind the back of the head, and that's just going to allow you to start to relax the neck. Now, if at any time you don't like taking your head back, and I know some people don't like this feeling on their neck, you can keep your chin tucked. No problem there at all. So we're just going to take 3 or 4 breaths here. See if you can find a steadiness and ease to your breathing. Maybe noticing if there's any lift in the sit bones, so your body might want to lift a little. Now if it does feel like the sit bones want to lift, you might want to ease off by just drawing the head up, just so you're not wrapping around that wheel quite so much. Still warming up the body. So another breath here. Now if you do have your arms around your head, draw the elbows together to help you to come back up to seated. Great. Okay, so we're just going to stretch out the side body a little, and I'll show you this sideways. So same thing, we'll have our legs crossed, but this time the wheel is at the side of the body. I'm going to place one hand on top of the wheel, rolling it away, but it's in line with my hips. So looking to the opposite arm, inhale, reach that arm up and over. So as you're reaching over, there's a little bit of give in the wheel, which is nice. We do this one a lot in class, but the difference by placing your hand on the wheel is, first of all, there's a little bit of movement. It's nice to move in and out just by sliding the body backwards and forwards. But there's also some height to it. So we're opening out the shoulders, we're getting into some of the muscle groups behind the upper part of the shoulder and that lead into the upper back. So we can store quite a lot of tension here. These are muscle groups that support the head and ultimately work through the neck. So draw back that top elbow, and then let's come back to centre before we move to the other side. So pop your wheel on the other side. Let's do the same thing, but first of all, cross your legs in the opposite direction. Always good to recross those legs. So you're probably on your weird side now. Hand on top of the wheel, just check the alignment of the wheel in line with the hips. Other arm up and over. Keep your eyes on that top arm if you can, but if it feels more comfortable for the neck to look down, by all means, look down. So think about rolling the top arm up and back so that the elbow and the shoulder and the whole arm is in line. So we're looking, rather than dropping it forward, to really open up through the side waist. Keep rooting down in both your sit bones. If you feel like that left sit bone wants to pop up, use your inhale to ease off a little. Root down the sit bone. Exhale, come a little deeper. So a lovely side stretch, this one. I really like this one, feels great. If you've been doing some sitting for a long period of time, if you've been sitting at your desk, it's just nice to get up and do this little stretch if you can. Okay, so leaving the wheel at the front of your mat, let's come around into all fours. Toes at the back of the mat. You're going to align your hip bones over the knees. Your wheel wants to be in the middle, so now it's in line with your sternum. Hands on the wheel. Now, people like this in different ways. Some people like to put the hands flat. Some people like to bring the hands into prayer, so you've got the outside edge of the hands. This will depend on your shoulder alignment. So you try one and then you maybe try the other and see which one you prefer. I prefer to put my hands in prayer. It feels better on my shoulders because we're internally rotating the arms, and just gently, so don't work too quickly into your full puppy pose here. Don't drop that chest down too eagerly either, because we are still working up the back and the shoulders. I'm going to make small sort of scissoring action. So we're taking those hands forwards and back, allow a bit of movement at the hips. Keep the eye gaze down if you can. So just, you don't need to look at the screen, just let the body come forwards and back, maybe feeling through the upper parts of the shoulder, the back. Perhaps you can feel this through the chest. Hopefully not through your neck. Okay, and then we'll try the other way. So if you had your hands flat, then swap them round and vice versa. So you can also just kind of hold on to the edge of the wheel. That might feel a little bit different. Now, by doing this, your elbows separate a little bit, and it allows a bit more space for the head to come down. So you might feel this one is a little bit different. There may be more space for your head, your chest to come through. And it's a different feeling on the shoulders. So always good to kind of vary this, but we're going to do the same motion. We're just rocking for a small amount forwards and backwards, using your breath here. That's great. And then come back up. Just sit on the heels for a moment, catch your breath, and when you're ready, we're going to come back around to that seated position with the feet flat on the mat. Once again, bring the wheel in to the lower part of the spine. So we're sitting where we started and thinking about where that wheel was on the spine. Now roll it ever so slightly back so that the wheel pretty much is in line with your shoulder blades. So your shoulder blades, the lower part of your shoulder blades, I should say, are wrapping around. Perhaps you can feel that wrapping around. So we're getting into the middle back now. So feel where your feet really root down on the mat. Take a look down at your feet, maybe lift the toes and place the big toes down really rooting down. So you want to feel, if you can, that all 10 toes have contact with the mat, and make sure we keep that contact. So with each breath, we're going to feel a little bit more open. Allow your body to sink into the wheel. Take a little bit of time here. Don't rush to lift the hips. Maybe take the arms wide, starting to make circles. So reaching behind you very slowly, and then reaching back. So I'm just going to make arcs. Actually, it's not really circles, I'm making arcs with my arms. Starting to notice how the shoulders feel, how the upper back feels. Maybe you can feel some tension. There might be a little sweet spot you want to work on. So once your arms get to a point, you might think, oh, yeah, that's a good place to continue working. Once the arms feel really heavy, which they will after a little while, interlace the fingers and place them behind the head. Again, just cupping the back of the head. Allow it to go back if your neck feels comfortable doing this. So we're not really making any movements here. We're just allowing the body to rest and trust the wheel. It takes a little bit of time, if you're new to the wheel, to really build up that relationship so that you know whether it's going to stay still and hold your weight. It's like any piece of equipment we use, just like our mat. We know the stickiness of our own mat. We know the space that we can work within. Let's take another breath here. Once again, as you exhale, draw your elbows together to draw the head up to centre. Place the hands back on the mat. Take yourself back up to seated. Now we're just going to take ourselves back a little. Bring the wheel in front of you this time. Come to staff pose with the legs nice and wide. So we're going to take them nearly as wide as the yoga mat. So it should feel quite nice to lengthen it through your staff pose here. Toes towards the face. Let's really activate the legs, activate your quads, roll your shoulders back, take the palms to face upwards and really activate. Let's see if we can lift those heels a millimetre off the mat. Drop your chin slightly, really tap into your breath. So we're now feeling that lovely rebound of the back bend, feeling the strength through the back muscles. But we want those to relax now. So as we exhale, start to hinge forwards, placing both hands on top of your wheel. Inhale, lengthen, keep your arms long. Exhale, roll your hands forwards. Keep that length. So you're keeping your hands flat on the wheel and your eye gaze towards your fingers and reach them forwards. So the chest is staying reasonably high. We're not dropping it too low. Now while we're here, let's check in with those toes. Have they started to point out to the side? Have the knees facing directly upwards if you can. Inhale, lengthen, exhale, reach a bit further forwards. So think about sending your sit bones down and back and your chest up and forwards. So a lovely release on the spine here as we come to our forward fold variation with the wheel. Slowly, very slowly, creeping the fingers back. Let's come back up to seated. So from here we can do a nice forward fold with the hips, working to the hips. So we're going to take the left leg in and place the left heel. So you want your Achilles heel, the dip in your heel, onto the wheel. Take the, sorry, that's my right leg. It doesn't matter which leg you've got. Take the other leg in towards your groin to draw that heel in and square your hips off. So we want those hips to be facing whichever leg you have on top of the wheel. Now just check that wheel is really square onto the leg. I find it's really important when you're rolling forward, if you're finding any rolling, you want it in alignment. Hold on to your wheel, so wherever that comes to. Now, it might be that your leg is bent to allow you to hold on to that wheel, and that's not a problem at all. So we can easily start here. Let's make sure those hips are rooted down. If it's uncomfortable for you to bend your leg in this way, you can also send it out to the side, because it's really just we're really just providing a base of support. So whatever is most comfortable for you. Just find that length on the inhale, holding onto your wheel. As you exhale, I want you to think about drawing your chest forwards. Now, even if that leg is very bent, I'm going to keep mine quite bent just now, because this is going to allow me to bring the chest down to my thigh, the upper thigh. If you can get that connection with that chest, between the chest and the thigh, that's great. I want you to keep that here. Inhale, lengthen. As you exhale, keeping the connection, start to roll your wheel and lengthen through that raised leg. Might be a very small movement. Chances are this knee is going to remain bent, and that's fine. So we're doing a supported forward fold here. What we're doing is a little bit like when we're doing our standing forward fold in Uttanasana, and I ask you to really root that chest down to make sure we're protecting the lower back. But as we exhale and start to roll forwards, perhaps there's a small movement and lengthening through our hamstring here. Let's take 2 more breaths. And then for releasing this pose, we're simply going to draw the wheel a little bit further back, pick up that leg, upper leg, and just place the feet on the mat, hands behind you. Let's take the knees left and right, do a couple of windshield wipers with the legs just to release that hip before we move on to the other side. Good, so this time it's my right heel that's drawing in. I'm going to let that right leg relax, bringing the wheel to the centre of the mat and placing the left heel on to the top of the wheel, bending as much as we need to in that left knee. Try to square, so take time to square the knee, the toe to face upwards, holding onto the wheel wherever you can hold onto it. Inhale, lengthen head, neck, spine, and as you exhale, let's find some contact between the chest and that upper thigh. Inhale, lengthen. The next exhale, can we start to roll the wheel and extend the leg at the same time? So don't think of this so much as I'm trying to get my leg straight. Think of this as I'm trying to keep that chest down low, protecting the lower back, working into the hamstring, just gently moving with each breath. So one side might be more accessible than the other. It may be that you can take your hands a little bit further up the wheel, or perhaps all the way around to the other side. It doesn't really matter where your hands are. It's wherever you can connect to that wheel. So we're just going to find a place where you could comfortably connect to the wheel. Inhale, lengthen, exhale, just a little deeper, holding this lovely stretch. And use your next exhale to slowly lift that top leg. Let's return once more to that hip release, so hands behind you, feet onto the mat. Send both knees in one direction, maybe looking over the shoulder in the other direction as we come to a twist. And let's do the same on the other side. So working through just to release your spine. Good. And then once more, we're going to take ourselves to the top of the mat and work through a few more spinal releases. So this time, sitting once again nice and tall, we're going to take the wheel a little bit further. So it's now really close to the upper part of my shoulder blades. So the top part of the back. So as we lean into this now, you're going to feel probably like you want to lift the hips, and that's where we're going to go in a moment, but let's make sure we're nice and stable. So thumbs on the wheel, lean the upper part of your back against the wheel, and automatically your chest will start to raise. Perhaps you'll feel that lifting of the chest, your shoulder blades wrapping. You may want to take your arms up to the side, or you may want to clasp the head with the hands, whatever feels good for you. So we can stay here, just allowing once again the back to really sink in. Steadying the breath. Just enjoying that openness and maybe just noticing the different sensations depending on where the wheel is placed on your back. And it may be that you have a preference for one more than the other. Perhaps there's more tension in one part of the back than the other. Now bring the shoulder blades together. Let's slowly come up. And then we're going to start to make some movements. So come back to that middle position. That central position where we had the wheel. It's not right against the lower part of the back, it's on the mid back. Arms out to the side, and this time as you push with your heels, we're lifting the hips, we're going to roll backwards and forwards. Now if you can allow your upper body to relax, try to let your head go with this. Now I know that's not comfortable for everybody, so if you prefer to interlace the fingers behind the head, then that's absolutely fine. Try to keep that wheel nice and central, so keep control of the wheel, and you'll notice the sensations through the back, so you'll know if it is central on the body and if you need to make an adjustment, that's fine. Now you might find a particular area that you think that feels good, I want to rest here. Once you find that area, maybe it's a particular part of your spine, you know you hold tension. Take a big breath in, and as you exhale, see if you can just release. Spend a few moments here, maybe working with the arms now. So again, we're going to bring the arms overhead and back down, just noticing how that changes the feeling through the shoulders and the upper back. You can also bring your arms to your chest, crossing them at the shoulders. That can feel quite nice if you want to relax the arms a little and really focus this movement on the back. So have a little play with this. Have a play with what feels good for you. Don't rush into a very deep back bend. It takes time. And as we work through the next few sessions, we'll be exploring different options for you, so that you can pick and choose the ones that feel appropriate, just to give you a good toolkit to work with at home. So when you've had enough here, wherever you are, release the hands. Let's take them and interlace them behind the head. Let's really secure them behind that head. Draw the elbows together and use that to help you bring the hips down slowly as the head comes back to centre. So you're back up to neutral. Slowly, we're going to come back to Dandasana with the heels apart, sit bones down, lengthening through the spine, really feeling that length that you've created today. Chin tucked. Just deepen the breath so you're really activating in the feet here. We've got a nice active pose, toes towards the face. Sit bones rooted, but they're softening in the shoulders. So try not to grip anywhere. And then as we exhale, we're going to finish off with a little bit of cat-cow. So come to all fours to start with. Taking your hands, this is kind of a variant of cat-cow. It's not really a cat-cow, but it will feel good to release the spine. So this time we're in all fours, but the wheel is underneath the hands. So arch your spine, and then as you inhale, you're rolling forwards, looking up towards the ceiling, up to your third eye. Exhale, start to draw your spine up, stacking your shoulders, and then exhale, roll forward. So we're working through a kind of dynamic cat-cow, lifting it a little bit higher. And you can work this as much as you want. It might be that when you come down, you want to work through a kind of puppy variation, rocking backwards and forwards. And like when you come up, we're almost working in a sort of high cow pose here. So just work through your own spine. And we're going to make those movements smaller and smaller. So keep making them smaller until you can place those hands on the mat. Just take a moment to find your neutral spine. So you're in all fours, finding your breath. Bring those big toes together. Separate the knees, send the heels back, and you can just roll your wheel out the way as we lengthen the arms, softening at the elbows. Bring back forearms down and start to bring the forehead down to the mat. So a comfortable wide-legged extended child's pose. Slowing down the breath, breathing into the back body. Just reflecting on how the wheel worked for you today. Maybe there's parts of this practice you'd like to revisit and explore a little bit more deeply. And then when you're ready, just take yourself around and slowly prepare yourself for the rest of your day. So I hope this session was useful to you, and I look forward to working with you again. Thank you very much. Namaste.